Hey there. Have you ever been curious about exactly what colon hydrotherapy is like or what it could help you with? So today I'm bringing you an interview with Ashton Wiesner, who is an International Association of Colon Hydrotherapists Advanced Certified Colon Hydrotherapist. And we're going to talk about what colonics are like, what they can help you with, and everything in between. So stay tuned. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amanda Malacheski, Certified Functional Nutrition Health Coach and Digestive and Allergy Detective. I post videos every single Monday about how to manage your digestion and allergy challenges naturally. So go ahead and subscribe and make sure to hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Monday. Hey everyone, good morning or good afternoon or evening, wherever you're watching from. My name's Amanda Malacheski and I am a certified functional nutrition health coach. And I have with me today Ashton Wiesner, who is the owner and founder of the Vital Flow Cleansing Center in Arcata, California, which is close to me here in Northern California. And she is an International Association of Colon Hydrotherapists certified advanced level colon hydrotherapist. And I'm super excited to bring her here to just talk a little bit about colon hydrotherapy, what it is and how it can be valuable for digestive issues and allergy issues. So thanks so much for joining us today, Ashton, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. I wonder if we could start out, you could tell us just a little bit about yourself if you like, and then maybe, let us know about how you got started with colon hydrotherapy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was already on my own health journey when I discovered colon hydrotherapy, and it was all because I went to visit a friend that I knew to be a pretty unhealthy guy, and he looked incredible. His skin was glowing, he was radiating, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he told me he was doing colonics and he was doing them regularly. And at first I was very apprehensive. I was like, I don't know, I don't really want to try that. But after seeing just his incredible transformation, I was like, okay, I have to give this a try. I got that first colonic. I saw the stuff that exited my body, the way that I felt afterwards. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do more of this. And then through the journey of doing more of it, it became very clear to me that I was supposed to help other people in this journey and facilitate that process for them.
Nice. Fantastic. I love those stories of how people come to this work. It's often such a personal journey like that, and that we get called and we get this calling to help people. So yay, I'm glad you're doing this work. You touched on this just a little in your comments just there. I often think that a lot of people might feel a little bit squeamish about colon hydrotherapy and trying it. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what exactly colon hydrotherapy is and, what is it like to get a session? How does it work?
Yeah, so colon hydrotherapy is essentially the irrigation of the large intestine. And the way that I do that here at Vital Flow is with something known as a closed loop system. So what that means is that everything's contained within the line. So you'll lay on a massage table, speculum's inserted, and then we'll slowly start to fill your body with water. A lot of people don't feel anything in the beginning, then eventually you feel a pressure. That pressure builds till there's a strong urge to release. When you reach that sensation, you let me know and we release on the equipment. Everything flows out of your body via gravity and your own natural peristalsis through the line, through a view tube where you can look should you choose to, before it drops down into the septic system. So there's no sound, there's no smell, there's no pushing. Everything's contained. Your job is to just lay there, relax, allow your body and the equipment to do everything for you. And then if it feels all right to you, I do abdominal massage throughout the process to help facilitate that release. And then the nature of a session is a series of those fills and releases. And each time, theoretically, the goal is to be able to take the water a little further and a little deeper into your body. And so the beauty with colon hydrotherapy in the way that our bodies work, our large intestine is roughly 5.5 feet long. So if you think about it, that's a lot of space. So what we're trying to do is trying to soften and loosen the impacted matter that's accumulated in your body. So over the course of our lifetimes, the whole mechanism of the colon being absorption, stuff comes in from the small intestine into the large intestine as a liquid. And as it travels through that passageway, it's constantly being absorbed, the moisture and liquid out of that until it becomes the firm matter that we know of as our stool. Well, what happens is there's all of these little pockets and crevices that line within the colon. They're called haustras, and they're really stretchy. So this absorption is occurring, these stretchy pockets exist, and stuff manages to nook into those crannies, dehydrates, putrefies, lives there forever, and makes friends until we go about some energy to work to releasing that. So each session that we do, and the most ideal way to do colonics is in a series, is where we come in and we soften, loosen some of that material, create an opportunity to exit. So it's estimated that the average person has about 7 to 10 pounds of impacted fecal matter in their body. So we've got some work to get at in there. So through the sessions, we're softening, loosening that material, being able to take that water deeper and further into the body and create more opportunity for eventually release of this material.
Sounds amazing. And some interesting factoids there about the length of the colon and how stretchy it is. That's super fascinating. So my primary focus in my practice is to help people with digestive issues, things like IBS and SIBO, and also food allergies and things like that. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how you've seen colon hydrotherapy benefit people who have those kinds of health issues going on.
Yeah, so our main exit transit out of the body is the colon. So a lot of our other organ systems utilize and lean on this transit in order to get things out. So when I look at the body and look at the system as a whole, there's this beautiful domino effect that happens kind of within the chain. And so when we're having digestive issues, when we're having allergy issues, when we're having a lot of these things, we so often want to look at the one small area that's our symptoms exist from, but not zoom out and look at how the rest of the system interplays. And so when we have all of this old material that's in our body, it creates an opportunity for something known as autointoxication. So that's the reabsorption of the toxic material back into the bloodstream. So when something hangs out in the colon too long, doesn't have a chance to exit, that absorption pattern's occurring, and then stuff can get an opportunity to be reabsorbed. Also, there's all of these pockets that creates an opportunity for bad bacteria, candida, all of these things to kind of thrive and accumulate. So when we're going in and we're starting to chip away and get rid of this material, people also often find that a lot of their other health issues start to shift. And so when you're having chronic digestive issues, a lot of times there's a lot of bloating and things that exist with that, distension, discomfort. By creating an opportunity to get some of this material out of those pockets, a lot of times some of that will actually reduce. Also, the awareness that you have with what's going on in your digestive tract and in your gut often shifts as well. So a lot of times we are on this journey of trying to figure out what is it that are my triggers? What is it that's kind of shifting or tilting or messing with my gut? And I experienced personally vast clarity through the journey of colon hydrotherapy with certain food items that weren't on the list of things that you generally think of as like the stereotype foods of allergies or sensitivities. But then once I started clearing my gut, I could hear the voice that is my internal system louder. And so I would introduce foods that were, I thought on the good list. And then all of a sudden have this response that I had never had before. And that wasn't until I started really clearing that space, getting more in tuned in my gut in a different way. And I felt like I was able to have my body communicate with me more loudly. And that's something that I hear regularly from clients of mine, that through doing this journey and this process, they get so much clearer in what's going on in their bodies. That internal guidance system and communication system that exists within all of us starts to get a little louder. We start to tune in a little differently to it.
That's really interesting. I wonder, I'm just thinking out loud here, that I wonder if that is a feature of just toxins kind of muddying your brain function and your feedback systems, as things accumulate, and as you clear that out, then all those signals are traveling more freely and more accurately, maybe. I don't know. That's an interesting concept. What do you think about that?
It's amazing when we have this kind of toxic load and burden that we don't even necessarily realize that we're in. There can be this kind of haze or fog that we're kind of maneuvering within, but when it's your day to day, you don't necessarily realize you're in a haze or a fog. It's not until sometimes when that fog gets lifted that you're like, oh, wait, I've been running at a lower speed. That's actually one of, for myself personally, my cues and indicators that I need to do a session. So anytime that my body starts to feel like I've downshifted a gear and I'm just not running as ideally or as optimally as I had been previously, that's my sign that I want to get in and go ahead and do a colonic or two to try to get myself back up to that more ideal optimal level.
Right. Perfect. I love that. That's excellent advice for all the people listening out there. This is the curiosity question that I'm sure some people watching might be, well, actually, before I go there, I'm curious if you might say something about biofilm. I'm wondering if you feel like you see biofilm in the tube leaving, or things that, I don't know, what can you say about biofilm for our audience?
I think that there are definitely opportunities that I've had where I've gotten to see what I believe to have been biofilm. Also, that mucoid plaque layer. And I've also seen things that are very reminiscent of lymph and candida and these other elements of our body that, again, as this sludge layer kind of builds up around the walls of our intestines. And as we do this work to try to clear it out, I often say we build this stuff in layers, we also release it in layers. So as we do each session, the nature of the material that exits the body starts to shift and change. And then it generally takes several sessions before you start getting into those deeper layers where you're going to see some of those things. Also, I work with quite a few practitioners in conjunction with their treatment plans for their clients, naturopaths, folks like that, in order to help to rid them of certain issues that they're having. And so a lot of times, either the herbs or supplements that they're doing on their protocol are also disruptive to that. And then they do it in conjunction with the colon hydrotherapy, and it really creates an opportunity to get that stuff out of there.
Awesome. Yeah. And so what kinds of conditions additionally are you seeing really a lot of benefit for people using colon hydrotherapy as an adjunct therapy?
I've seen a lot of really powerful stuff with autoimmune disease, particularly things with the thyroid, Hashimoto's, Epstein-Barr, Lyme, candida. Those have been some of the most impactful and powerful. Again, this relationship that our body has with our lymphatic system, with our liver, with our other main filtration and detoxifying organs, and the colon being the exit transit for their backed up sludge. So when the liver has something it wants to get rid of, or the lymphatic system has something it wants to get rid of, it ultimately sends it to the colon. And then if it can't exit quickly enough, we get back into that auto intoxication loop again, and it just slows and bogs everything down. So watching people who have been able to come out of some of that brain fog, out of some of that chronic fatigue, that chronic pain, that life that's being lived at a so much slower pace than what is optimal for them. It's really powerful work to get to facilitate that kind of release for people, because our health is our wealth. When we don't feel good, nothing works well. So when we have the opportunity to kind of shift and bring some vitality back into the system, even if it's only a glimmer, we get this idea of, no, we are on the right track. This is fixable. This is something that we can work with, and it doesn't have to just be stuck the way that maybe we've been feeling for some time.
Beautiful. So beautifully said. Thank you for saying that. I'm sure there's lots of folks out there with chronic issues that, you know, have lost that feeling of hope that maybe they can improve. So thank you.
And often for those folks, it also becomes something that they need to do more regularly. So often, you know, we want to like check that thing off the list. Like, yep, I've done that. I did a colon cleanse. I'm good for life now. But really, it's kind of this ongoing process, as with anything within our health and our bodies, is this constant state of how can we keep ourselves optimum. So ideally with colon hydrotherapy, one thing that I see time and time again is it takes 3 sessions to scratch the surface, 5 to make a dent, and 10 to do the work. And then once we start getting into those, and of course, everyone's different, every body and where their body is at is different. So that fluctuates a little bit, but just time and time again, those numbers have had a consistency to them. And then from there, we want to shift into a maintenance mode where we're periodically doing sessions to help to keep that channel clear. And for some folks who have certain health issues that are limiting their ability to eliminate, folks with chronic constipation, certain kinds of nerve issues, different things that really bog down their system and their body's ability to do its regular elimination pathways, those folks need it a little additionally. Same with a lot of times like the Lyme and Epstein-Barr, chronic virus issues, and some of the other autoimmune issues. Ideally, you're doing them fairly regularly, and that looks a little different for everyone. I've had some clients that I've worked with, say, for a year-long protocol that they were on, and I saw them a couple times a month for pretty ongoing. And sometimes they'll find that sweet spot of like, okay, if I do it every 10 days, I'm good. But if I wait till every 18 days, I'm back slumped again. So it's finding what's going on with your body at that time, and know that if you need to do a more rigorous protocol at one point in time, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to need to be for the rest of your life. That's just where your body's at right now, and really wanting to honor where our bodies are at right now and show up for them the way that they need us to.
I love so much about what you just said. A couple things. One, just this piece about maintenance, ongoing maintenance can be a really important way to look at things with chronic illness. And I talk about that a lot with my clients and so on, because especially if you have an ongoing illness, like if you have an autoimmune diagnosis, you can probably get a lot of remission going on, but you may have, like an ongoing need to take care of yourself and, do some of these maintenance kinds of things like cleansing or colonics or eating the right foods for yourself or so on. So I love so much that you touched on that and want to emphasize that point. And the other thing that you said that I really resonate with is this piece about people really needing to customize their protocols. I'm a huge advocate for that, just that each one of us is different and that we really need to figure out that magic recipe that's right for us. So I love that you're speaking into that with your clients and referrals.
Absolutely. And I feel like another piece that's really important that sometimes gets missed is that just because we've created a plan for you doesn't mean that plan can't change. And so often we get attached to the schedule or the program or the protocol that will maybe stop listening to that internal guidance that our body is giving us. And maybe we need to ease back a little, or maybe we need to rev up a little. And knowing that it's a journey and it's going to need to be fluid. And hopefully we're going to nail it right out the gate with our protocols that we create for ourselves or our practitioners create for us. But knowing that there's leeway in there's wiggle room to try to customize that even more as our body's going through this healing process.
Perfect. Love it. Can you say a little bit about contraindications for colon hydrotherapy? So when would it not be recommended for somebody?
So there's a list of contraindications. It's one of the first things that I have you do when you come into the office is we'll have you fill out an intake form. It's contraindicative if you've had recent abdominal surgery, acute diverticulitis, if you have cirrhosis of the liver, if you have severe hemorrhoids, fissures, fistulas, things that are specific to some of the limitations of the rectum with the insertion. There are also other issues that we need to look at just a little more cautiously as to how we go about it. So maybe it's not completely contraindicative, but we need to do the fill rate at a slower pressure or for a shorter duration of time. So one of the first things that we do, we have you fill out that intake form. And I also really want to know, what's your diet and your lifestyle like? Where are you at? Where are you looking to go? What are your goals? And then how can I help meet you there? And it really be back to that catering things customized for people individually is, where do you want to see your health go? Not the projection of where I would maybe think that I would want your health to go. Because ultimately it's your journey.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yes, yes, yes. And yes, yes. Customize. I think it's my motto. I should just plaster it on my forehead. And then back to this, my curiosity question. Some people might be wondering, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen come out of somebody? I know I asked you this before, but I'd love to hear this story again for our.
So the weirdest thing that I've ever seen come out of someone was a hot pink Barbie high heel shoe. And it was a very exciting day. So that's the thing, is like back to the nature of the colon and all of the stuff that our body's able to hold and store. So we stick stuff in our mouths, particularly as children, and we, it has an opportunity to get lodged in there. My mentor has seen Legos on multiple occasions. I keep kind of waiting for the day when I get my first Lego. But there was this one day where this hot pink high heel Barbie shoe went floating past the line, and I was like, wow, how long has that been stored in that person's gut? And the answer was probably around 40 years. So some time, because that was definitely not something that they had consumed recently.
Right. And talk about a toxic load. The plastic in that shoe is just sitting in the colon, doing its thing and maybe exuding toxic chemicals.
I do not think that was a BPA-free Barbie shoe.
Probably not.
But better out than in. So always welcoming whatever shows up. And sometimes that's organic matter that looks pretty interesting, how the body has kind of encapsulated it and morphed it and then dried it and held onto it. Or it's something that was foreign and was never really meant to be ingested, but we finally are able to create the opportunity for it to get out of there.
Yeah. Well, good riddance to things like Barbie shoes. So I know not all the people watching are going to be local people, but if people are in the Humboldt County area, how could they reach out to you and find your office and get more information from you?
Yes. So you can find me online at vitalflowcleansing.com or on Facebook and Instagram, also with Vital Flow Cleansing. I'm also in the local Healer's Guide and the ISIS scrolls, and those are different channels and ways that you can find me, or a simple Google search and I'll be right there.
Right. And I think you mentioned to me before that you also do some online health coaching as well. Is that correct?
I do. I do work remotely, some with people. For the most part, it's here in the office. I offer a holistic lifestyle mentorship program, which is basically a way for me to kind of help guide and facilitate someone on a deeper, more ongoing level than what they maybe just have during the course of their sessions. If they're looking to tap into their bodies into some deeper ways and have a place to kind of process and explore all the things that show up when we start doing this kind of work, because it's very much a physical body process, but it is also so much a mental, emotional, spiritual journey as well. So being able to be supported in all of the layers of all the ways that this kind of work shows up.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me and talk with my audience and let people know about the benefits and amazing qualities of colon hydrotherapy. And so I encourage you all, if you're a little bit curious or even a lot of curious, to go check it out, maybe find somebody close to you. And if you're in the area, go say hi to Ashton. So thanks for being here today, Ashton.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you had a great time learning about colon hydrotherapy with myself and Ashton, and I hope that you learned something new and that you can see some potential for how colon hydrotherapy could help you work through your healing process. And I'd love to hear about your experience. If you've already tried colon hydrotherapy before, let us know in the comments how it's been for you or what it's helped you with. If you are someone who is struggling with digestive or allergy challenges and you need some support figuring out how to dial in your nutrition and your lifestyle habits to help support your health project, please consider scheduling a free 30-minute health assessment session with me. You can do that by visiting confluencenutrition.com/contact. And if you want a little bit more information about how things like colon hydrotherapy fit into the big picture of what I do with my clients, please go ahead and grab your free copy of Roadmap to Gut Recovery. You can download that for free at confluencenutrition.com/roadmap. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know in the comments how you have used colon hydrotherapy and if it's been helpful, and we'll see you next time.